It began, as many nightmares in Gotham did, with the Joker. But this time, the laughter was absent, replaced by a chilling, unnatural silence. Months after his last escape from Arkham, the clown prince of crime broke into the Gotham City morgue, humming an old, forgotten nursery rhyme as he dragged a coffin-sized crate behind him. The morgue attendants, two frightened interns, were already gagged and tied, watching in horror. Inside the crate was a corpse so decayed it looked fossilized, matted with mud and bound by rusted chains, yet its eyes, pale and deep-set, seemed to wait. The Joker produced a vial of green, glowing fluid, a highly unstable Lazarus blend, custom-mixed with alchemical salts. He poured the solution like expensive wine over the ghastly body, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You've had your lake, my silent puppet, a small pond for a small terror. Now have a city, a place where true, cosmic rot lives in the foundations. Let the despair feed you." And as a massive, sulphurous thunder rolled across the skyline, shaking the very foundations of the morgue, the corpse convulsed. Bones snapped and reformed. A pale, sightless eye opened beneath the cracked, filthy hockey mask. Jason Voorhees had drawn breath again in Gotham City. By the time the sun timidly touched the horizon, 20 people were dead. They were found scattered across 3 districts. A patrol car driver, for teenagers near the ice rink, a politician leaving a late meeting, and a family near the docks. The Joker watched from a crumbling clock tower, the dawn reflecting in his maniacal grin. He laughed a high, broken sound, until his voice cracked and failed. "Let's see who wears fear better, Batsy, the logic-bound bat or the silent, unrelenting butcher." Batman saw the first bodies at dawn. He wasn't called, he simply found them. They weren't just murdered, they were displayed, hung from light poles by shredded tendons, torsos arranged like grotesque, primal art. The silence that lingered over each scene felt almost ritualistic, a quality of dread Batman usually only associated with the demonic ramblings of Dr. Phosphorus or the darkest pits of Arkham. Commissioner Gordon, his face etched with sleepless exhaustion, met Batman at the 4th scene, a dismantled bank ATM. His voice cracked over the radio feed. "He's not human, Bruce. We shot him 8 times. He just got up. Whatever this thing is, it doesn't stop." But Bruce Wayne, the man beneath the cowl, didn't believe in things. He believed in patterns, logic, and solvable methods. He was the ultimate rationalist in a world of madness. And so he began the hunt. He examined the torn ligaments, finding traces of unnatural calcium deposits. He analyzed the blood, which contained trace amounts of the concentrated Lazarus salts, but also the unique, mineral-rich soil found near each victim. The dirt was foreign. It matched no region near Gotham, except one, found in dusty, forgotten cold cases compiled by the Federal Bureau of Occult Investigations. Camp Crystal Lake. Bruce spent 3 days cycling the Batcomputer through every iteration of combat, every environmental vulnerability, and every recorded death of Jason Voorhees. The answer was always the same. Immortality factor unknown. Requires extreme geographical intervention. The killings spread with terrifying efficiency. From the narrow, crowded alleys to the shadowy, vacant rooftops, from the grimy narrows to the very shadow of Wayne Tower, the air grew thick with a tangible, choking layer of collective fear. People stopped leaving their homes after sundown. The nightlife, Gotham's pulse, ceased. Batman interrogated every captive in his network. He faced Scarecrow, whose fear toxin should have amplified his natural terror. Crane merely trembled when Batman said the name Voorhees. He feels nothing, Bat. My gas is meant for men. This is the absence of man, a purity of purpose that is utterly terrifying. Penguin, holed up in his underground bunker, spat. A monster that doesn't steal, doesn't scheme, he's bad for business, Bats. Worse than you. At least you're predictable. But the real answer, the bitterest pill, came from the Joker himself, found laughing, utterly safe and untouched, in a blood-soaked funhouse at the docks. I gave him life, Batsy. A walking joke that doesn't laugh, doesn't talk, doesn't stop. He's the anti-clown. Tell me, what's scarier than a clown you can't understand? You've always hated the noise, the chaos, the reasons. Well, Jason has no reasons. He's pure, beautiful negation. Batman struck him, the blow cracking Joker's jaw. The laughter didn't stop, intensified, high-pitched and maniacal, because the Joker knew what Bruce was starting to realize. Jason wasn't alive in the human sense. He was an idea wearing flesh, an embodiment of vengeance and death that Gotham, a city built on nightmares and cycles of crime, had unknowingly summoned to itself. The failure became a cycle of devastating victories. Batman built traps across the city, utilizing his vast technological superiority. He tried electromagnetic grids to shatter the electrical impulses, maintaining the curse. He tried cryogenic snares designed to plunge the area into absolute zero. He even employed experimental Lazarus inhibitors stolen from Star Labs. Each time Jason fell, and each time he rose again. When Batman detonated half of Arkham Bridge to drown him in the Gotham River, using controlled blasts to crush his form beneath tons of stone and water, Jason's body vanished, only to reappear at Crime Alley that same night, killing 5 more in the very location of Bruce's original trauma. Bruce's reflection in the Batcave mirror looked older, haunted, a man seeing the limits of his own mind. Alfred noticed it first. "You've stopped fighting criminals, sir," the butler whispered one night, watching Bruce re-weld a shattered rib plate on his suit. "You're fighting death itself, and death does not obey the laws of physics." "Then I'll find a way to kill it that death cannot ignore," Bruce whispered back, his voice raw. Research led him deeper into secret DO archives, old government experiments involving Jason's remains, shelved after countless failed attempts at weaponization. The files revealed something chilling, echoing the Joker's wicked insight. Jason's resurrection was linked not primarily to the Lazarus fluid, but to fear itself. Voorhees exists because people remember him and are afraid of him. One encrypted report read, "His power feeds on the collective terror of the area. He returns wherever fear thrives, and returns in a state commensurate with that fear." Batman stared at that line for hours, the air in the Batcave growing impossibly heavy. He returns wherever fear thrives. If that was true, then Gotham hadn't just accidentally welcomed him. Gotham, the city Bruce had sworn to protect by becoming its most terrifying legend, had created the perfect, inexhaustible home for him. The Dark Knight had cultivated fear for decades to control crime, and now that very fear was nourishing the ultimate predator. Maybe it wasn't the Joker who brought Jason back. Maybe the curse was self-invoked. Maybe it was the Bat. The final confrontation was prearranged, not by a villain, but by Batman's own desperate calculations. It ended in the smoking ruins of Robinson Park, the only place in Gotham still untouched by electric light, a place that felt more like a forest than a city park. Batman lured Jason there, using the one thing Jason might recognize as an abomination, the source of his current misery. A life-size doll dressed meticulously as the Joker, drenched in the faint, nauseating scent of Lazarus fluid. When Jason emerged from the swirling fog, his machete glinting red in the faint moon, Bruce saw what he'd truly become, the physical, unstoppable face of everything Gotham feared most. Their fight was silent, brutal, and seemingly endless. Steel against steel, flame against rain. Jason's inhuman strength broke ribs, and Batman's armor torso. Batman's traps and thermite blasts burned flesh down to the bone. Neither stopped. Neither yielded. Finally, knowing he had no other option, Batman triggered his last failsafe. A fusion charge buried deep beneath the park's soil. Not an explosion, but an implosion. A controlled collapse designed to bury Jason in bedrock and concrete, entombed 1,000 feet deep. As the timer began its final 60-second countdown, Bruce whispered, blood pouring from his cowl. "Gotham doesn't deserve this curse. Not him, not the cycle, and not me." For the first time, Jason hesitated. He lowered his weapon, watching the man who had faced death repeatedly and refused to die. In that strange, fleeting instant before the roar of the implosion, Batman saw a hint of profound, ancient pity behind the mask. He saw the drowned boy, forever trapped. Then the park ignited inward. Days later, the controlled fire was out. Gotham was quiet. The murders stopped. The terror began to recede, replaced by a lingering, nervous relief. But deep beneath the rubble and the new, waterlogged tunnels created by the controlled blast, a single, emergency camera, powered by an inductive coil, still worked, flickering weakly in the perpetual darkness. It showed movement. A figure, not impossibly strong, but agonizingly slow, dragging itself through the mud, clutching a broken, carbon fiber cowl. Not Jason. Not entirely Bruce. Something in between. The figure reached the camera lens, its face obscured by shadow, its breathing ragged. A voice whispered, distorted through the muddy feed, mechanical and broken. "You can't kill fear. You can only wear it. You can only absorb it." The figure attached the battered cowl to its head, and the weak infrared camera light caught a brief glint of pure, unbroken white-eye lenses. Then the screen went black. Gotham's nightmare didn't end that night. It simply learned a new face to fear, a silent, heavier shadow haunting its streets. And in the low, constant rumble of the city's underground, you could almost hear two heartbeats, one steady, one broken, marching as one, forever bound by the curse of eternal, unrelenting duty.